Imagine a young boy arriving in Tokyo, Japan, back in 1922. He was only 15 years old and full of hope. He had traveled from his small village to the big city for his very first job. The job was at a small auto repair shop called Art Shakai. The boy dreamed of working with cars and engines. However, when the shop owner saw him, he doubted if such a young boy could handle the work. So instead of letting him fix cars, the owner gave him different tasks. The boy had to spend his days cleaning the workshop floors and tools. He was also asked to look after the owner's baby child. This was a big disappointment for the young boy who wanted to be a mechanic. Nobody working there thought much about him then. They could not imagine who this quiet boy would become in the future. That boy's name was Soichiro Honda. Now let's think about many years later. The situation was completely changed. That same boy, Soichiro Honda, grew up to lead one of the world's most famous companies. He became the head of Honda Motors. This company built cars that were sold all over the globe. They competed strongly against some of the biggest and oldest car manufacturers. More than that, Honda Motors also became the #1 maker of motorbikes in the entire world. It is quite amazing to compare his simple start, cleaning floors and babysitting, with leading a giant international company. His journey was truly remarkable. This is the story of how Soichiro Honda achieved so much. He was born in 1906 in a poor village. Life was not easy for his family. He did not come from a rich background or have special connections. But Soichiro had big dreams and a strong desire to succeed. He faced many difficulties along the way, including failures and very hard times, especially during the war. Despite all the problems, he never stopped working towards his goals. He learned from his mistakes and kept trying new things. His hard work and clever ideas helped him build a multi-billion-dollar company from almost nothing. In the chapters that follow, we will look closely at Soichiro Honda's life. We will explore his journey from that small village to becoming a famous business leader. You will read about his powerful determination, his refusal to give up when things got tough. We will also see his great talent for innovation, his skill in thinking of new ideas and creating new machines like engines and vehicles. This is the story of how passion, hard work, and a refusal to accept failure helped one young boy change the world of transport and build a lasting legacy. Join us as we discover the inspiring life of Soichiro Honda. 2. A young boy's dream. Soichiro Honda was born in 1906. His family lived in a small village in Japan called Tenryu. It was a poor village near the famous Mount Fuji. Soichiro's father, Jihei Honda, worked as a blacksmith. He made things from metal. He also had a small business repairing bicycles. Soichiro's mother, Mika, was a weaver. She made cloth using a machine called a loom. Life was hard for the Honda family because they did not have much money. Growing up was difficult. Soichiro had several brothers and sisters, but sadly, 5 of them died when they were young. This was because of health problems and the difficult living conditions. Everything changed for Soichiro one day when he was 8 years old. He was outside in his neighborhood when he heard a strange noise, a loud rumble he had never heard before. Curious, he followed the sound. Soon, he saw something amazing moving down the road. It was a big machine with 4 wheels, rolling along all by itself. This machine was a Ford Model T. It was the very first car Soichiro had ever seen in his life. He was completely amazed and fascinated. He watched it drive past. As soon as it passed, he started running after it. He ran as fast as his legs could carry him. He said later, "I could not understand how it could move under its own power." Seeing that car was a very important moment. It started his lifelong love for engines and machines. From that day on, Soichiro was very interested in anything mechanical. He began spending more time helping his father in his bicycle repair shop. His father also fixed farm equipment. Soichiro learned practical skills, like how to sharpen the metal blades on farm tools. He especially enjoyed learning how to fix bicycles. He loved taking things apart and putting them back together. He was fascinated by all kinds of engines and motors. This hands-on work was much more exciting to him than school lessons. He spent a lot of his childhood helping his father with the repair business. Soichiro really did not like school. He thought formal education was boring. He preferred learning by doing things himself. Because he wasn't interested in his lessons, his grades were very bad. He knew his father would be disappointed if he saw his school report card. In Japan at that time, parents often used a family stamp, called a hanko, to sign documents like school reports. Soichiro wanted to hide his bad grades from his father. He found an old rubber bicycle pedal cover. He cleverly carved it to make a copy of his family's hanko. He planned to stamp his report card himself so his father would never see it. His plan worked for a short time, but then he was caught. His father discovered the fake stamp and was very angry. As a punishment, Soichiro had to kneel on the floor for the entire day. He was not allowed to have any lunch. This difficult experience taught him a lesson about honesty, but it did not change his feelings about school. His dreams were focused on the world of machines, not the classroom. 3. Learning a job in Tokyo. In 1922, Soichiro saw an advertisement in a magazine. It was for a car repair shop in Tokyo called Art Shakai. He thought the busy shop might need workers. So he wrote a letter asking for a job. He was happy when they replied and said yes. At only 15 years old, Soichiro decided to leave school. He left his home village and traveled to the big city of Tokyo to follow his dream. When Soichiro arrived in Tokyo, he was surprised. City life was very fast and different compared to his quiet village. He went to the Art Shakai shop. The owner, Mr. Yuzo Sakakibara, had a job ready for him, but it was not working on cars like Soichiro hoped. Instead, Soichiro had to look after the owner's young child. He was very disappointed. For the first few months, he did not learn about cars and he did not earn any money. His main task was carrying the baby on his back. Soichiro thought about going home. But he felt ashamed to return as a failure. He did not want to face his parents after leaving with big hopes, so he decided to stay in Tokyo. Time passed and the Art Shakai shop became extremely busy. Mr. Sakakibara had too much work repairing cars and needed more help. Finally, he asked Soichiro to start helping in the workshop. Soichiro started with simple jobs like cleaning. But he worked very hard and learned quickly. He showed that he had talent for mechanics. Soon, Mr. Sakakibara began to trust him with more important tasks. The owner saw Soichiro's skill and how dedicated he was. Mr. Sakakibara decided to teach Soichiro more. He taught him about fixing different kinds of cars and motorcycles. He also taught him about running a business. At that time, cars were not very common in Japan. Most cars were expensive and came from other countries. Usually, only rich people owned them. Through his job at Art Shakai, Soichiro got to see and work on many different vehicles. He worked on American cars like Lincolns and European cars like Mercedes and Daimlers. He also learned about various motorcycles that customers brought to the shop. Soichiro put all his energy into learning everything he could about engines and machines. Working at Art Shakai also introduced Soichiro to something new and exciting: motorsports. Car and motorcycle racing was becoming popular in Japan, just like it was in Europe and America. Mr. Sakakibara himself became very interested in racing. Around 1923, Mr. Sakakibara started building special race cars in his workshop. His workers, including Soichiro, helped him. One car they built used an engine from an old Daimler car. Another famous race car they built was called the Curtiss. It had a powerful engine taken from an old American airplane, a Curtiss biplane. They put this big engine onto the frame or chassis of an American car called a Mitchell. This special car, the Curtiss, entered an important race in 1924. It was the 5th Japanese Motorcar Championship. Mr. Sakakibara's brother drove the car, and amazingly, it won first place. Soichiro was there too. He traveled with the car as the accompanying engineer for the race. He was only 17 years old at the time. This race was a very important and special experience for young Soichiro. From that day forward, motorsports became incredibly important to him, almost like a religion. 4. First shop and fast cars. In 1926, Soichiro Honda was called for military service. But during the medical check, doctors discovered he was colorblind. Because of this condition, he could not join the army. This meant he was free to continue his work as a mechanic at the Art Shakai repair shop. 2 years later, in 1928, the owner of Art Shakai, Yuzo Sakakibara, decided his business was successful enough to grow. He planned to open a new branch of the shop in the city of Hamamatsu. Mr. Sakakibara had watched Soichiro work hard and learn quickly. He believed in the young man's skills. So he asked Soichiro, who was now 21 years old, to move to Hamamatsu and manage the new shop. Starting the Hamamatsu branch was difficult for Soichiro. In the first year, the shop did not get much business. People in the city saw how young he was and did not trust him to repair their valuable cars. They preferred to go to older, more established mechanics. Often, Soichiro only received the small, simple jobs that the other repair shops did not want to do, but Soichiro was determined. He used all the knowledge and practical skills he had gained in Tokyo. He worked carefully and showed customers that he could fix their cars well. Word began to spread about the talented young mechanic. Slowly, more people started bringing their cars to his Art Shakai branch. The business grew steadily. By the 1930s, the shop was very busy. Soichiro could not do all the work alone anymore. His business grew from a one-man operation to employing around 30 people. The workload became so large that Soichiro's wife, Sachi, began to help him with managing the company's finances and daily tasks. Even with the demands of running a successful business, Soichiro never lost his love for speed and machines. He was not only an excellent mechanic, but also a talented racing driver. He decided to use his skills to build his very own race car. Inside his Hamamatsu workshop, he designed and constructed a car he named the Hamamatsu. He drove this car in races himself. He achieved an impressive speed of 120 kilometers per hour, setting a new Japanese speed record. This record remained unbeaten for 20 years. However, motor racing during that time was extremely dangerous. In June 1936, while racing the Hamamatsu near Tokyo, Soichiro was involved in a terrible crash. The accident was very serious and he nearly died. He suffered major injuries. His left arm was broken, his shoulder was dislocated, and his face was badly damaged. He had to spend several months recovering in the hospital. Despite the crash and his injuries, Soichiro's passion for racing pulled him back. Just 4 months after leaving the hospital, he returned to the racetrack, but his family was extremely worried about his safety. His wife and his father strongly disagreed with his decision to race again. After many arguments about the risks, Soichiro finally agreed to listen to his family. He made the difficult decision to give up racing forever. 5. Making parts in hard times. By 1936, Soichiro Honda felt tired of only fixing cars. He wanted to do something more. His new plan was to start making car parts himself. He talked about this idea for the Art Shakai branch in Hamamatsu. He wanted to change the repair shop into a place that made parts. But the people who invested money in Art Shakai did not agree. They saw that the repair shop was making good money. They thought making parts was too risky and not needed. Soichiro did not change his mind. He decided to start his own business. He created a company called Takai Seiki. Its main job was to make piston rings, an important engine part. He asked his close friend, Soichiro Kato, to be the president of this new company. Soichiro and Kato worked very hard. Soichiro still worked at the Art Shakai repair shop during the day. Then, at night, he worked on developing the piston rings. For a long time, they had many problems. Their first designs did not work well. Soichiro worked so much over the next 2 years that he lost a lot of weight. The stress made him look very different. He knew he needed to learn more. He decided to go back to school part-time. He studied metallurgy, which is the science of metals, at the Hamamatsu Industrial Institute. Around 1939, Soichiro finally made a piston ring that worked well. He felt sure about his design now. He left his job at Art Shakai and gave the branch to some of his students. He started working full-time at Takai Seiki. The company began making pistons every day. However, there were still problems. The quality was not good enough yet. The car company Toyota asked Takai Seiki to make pistons for them. Soichiro sent them 50 pistons, but Toyota said only 3 were good enough. This was a big problem, but Soichiro did not stop. He traveled around Japan for the next few years. He visited companies that made steel and talked to experts at universities. He wanted to learn everything about making better piston rings. After learning more, he tried again. This time, the results were amazing. His new pistons passed the quality tests. Soon, orders started coming from many places. The company grew quickly. It needed about 2,000 workers to make all the pistons ordered. Things seemed to be going very well for Soichiro. But then difficult times started. In 1941, Japan entered World War II. The government took control of Soichiro's company. The next year, Toyota bought 45% of the company. Soichiro was no longer the main boss, he became a senior manager. Life became harder. Many male workers had to leave to join the army. The company found it difficult to keep working. Soichiro tried his best, but worse things happened. In 1944, bombs hit the factory in Hamamatsu during an air raid, destroying it. Then in January 1945, a big earthquake hit the area. Another factory building collapsed. Japan lost the war in August 1945. By this time, Soichiro had lost almost everything he built. After the war ended, Soichiro sold the broken parts of his company to Toyota. He received 450,000 yen. He told people he needed to take some time off. 6. A new start after war. The war ended in 1945, but life in Japan was very difficult. The country was damaged and people did not have enough food, clothes, or houses. Resources were very limited and things like fuel were hard to find. Soichiro Honda had sold the rest of his old company, Takai Seiki, to Toyota. After selling it, he told everyone he planned to take a break for about a year. He wanted time to think about what to do next in this changed country. The lack of fuel created problems for everyone, including Soichiro. He needed transport to go to the market and buy food for his family, but there was not enough gasoline for his car. This situation made everyday life very hard. People needed a simple and cheap way to travel around. One day, Soichiro found something useful. It was a small generator engine. These engines were left over from the Japanese army. During the war, the army used them to power wireless radios. Soichiro looked closely at the small engine and had an idea. He thought, what if I attach this engine to a bicycle? Putting small motors on bicycles was not a completely new idea. It was done in Europe. But Soichiro knew that in post-war Japan, people desperately needed affordable transport. This idea gave Soichiro a new purpose. In 1946, he started a new company in an old warehouse he owned. He called it the Honda Technical Research Institute. His goal was simple: to research and develop motorized bicycles. He started working with a small team of about 12 men. They took the surplus generator engines he had found and figured out how to attach them to bicycles using other spare parts they could find. The result was a simple motorbike. It was exactly what people needed. These motorized bicycles became popular very quickly. They offered a cheap way to travel when gasoline was scarce and public transport was limited. Soon, orders started coming in from all over the country. Soichiro and his team were busy building as many as they could. However, there was a problem. The small generator engines they were using were surplus from the war. There was only a limited number of them. Soon, Soichiro ran out of these engines. He could not make any more motorized bicycles without engines. But Soichiro did not stop. If he could not buy engines, he decided he would make his own. He started designing a new small engine specifically for bicycles. After much work in 1947, he successfully developed Honda's first original engine. It was called the Type A for the very first time. The name Honda was put onto an engine. This was the real beginning of the Honda company we know today, starting not with cars but with a simple solution for transport after the war. 7. Bikes for everyone. Soichiro Honda's first motorized bicycles were very popular, but he wanted to build real motorcycles. In 1948, he started a new company called the Honda Motor Company. The main goal was to build motorcycles to help Japanese people travel easily after the war. Building many motorcycles cost a lot of money. Soichiro needed more money to make his company bigger. He had an idea. He wrote a letter to 18,000 bicycle shops all over Japan. In the letter, he told them about his plan to help Japan move again with his motorcycles. He asked them to invest money in his company. It was a brave plan. About 3,000 shop owners liked his idea. They sent him money. This helped Soichiro start making more motorcycles. 1 year later, in 1949, the company made its first complete motorcycle. It was called the Model D. Making a full motorcycle was a big step for the company. But the Model D was quite large and heavy. Not many people wanted to buy it. Soichiro knew it was not perfect. He wanted to make something better. He started working on a new design. He wanted a motorcycle that was smaller, lighter, and easier to use. After 3 years of hard work, he created the Honda Super Cub. The Super Cub was different. It was simple, reliable, and not expensive. People loved it. It quickly became very successful in Japan and even won an important prize. Around this time, Soichiro met Takeo Fujisawa. Fujisawa was very good at business and marketing. He invested money in Honda and helped manage the company's money and sales plans. Together, Honda and Fujisawa made a strong team. They helped the company grow quickly. In 1958, they decided to sell the Super Cub in the United States. The price was only $295. This was much cheaper than American or British motorcycles like Harley-Davidson or Triumph. Honda used clever advertisements to show that riding a motorcycle could be fun for everyone. Soon, Honda was selling more motorcycles in America than the famous old brands. Soichiro also believed racing was important. Winning races showed the world how good Honda motorcycles were. At first, Honda did not do well in international races. But Soichiro studied the other racing bikes and worked hard to improve his own. In 1959, Honda won a major prize at the famous Isle of Man TT race. 2 years later, they won again. These wins made the Honda name famous around the world. Because of the popular Super Cub and success in racing, the Honda Motor Company grew very fast. By the 1960s, Honda was the biggest motorcycle company in the whole world. They had sold millions of motorcycles. Soichiro's dream of providing transport for many people had come true, but he already had another big dream in mind. 8. Cars and a big company. By the 1960s, Honda was the world's biggest motorcycle company. But Soichiro Honda had another big dream. Since he was a young boy, he wanted to build cars. When Soichiro announced his plan to enter the automobile market, many people told him it was a bad idea. They said it was too risky for the company. Even Japanese government officials tried to stop him. They believed Japan already had enough car makers like Nissan and Toyota, but Soichiro did not listen. He followed his dream. In 1963, Honda showed its first car. It was the T360, a small mini truck. It was a reliable pickup truck, but it did not sell very well. Soon after, Honda made its first sports car, the S500. This car was a small two-door roadster. It had a 4-speed gearbox and could reach 80 miles per hour. People found it smooth and easy to drive. However, only about 1,300 S500 cars were ever built. It is now a very rare Honda car. Just like he did with motorcycles, Soichiro took his cars racing. Honda entered Formula One, the top level of car racing. In 1965, only 1 year after starting, a Honda car won the Mexican Grand Prix. This was a great success. But even with this win, Honda cars were not selling as well as other companies' cars. So Honda decided to take a break from racing. They wanted to focus on making cars for everyday people. This decision led to one of the most successful cars ever, the Honda Civic. Honda started selling the Civic in 1972. It quickly became popular all over the world. There were important reasons for its success. In the 1970s, there was an oil crisis and fuel became expensive. Honda had developed a special engine called CVCC. This engine used less fuel, so people could travel further without spending too much money. The Civic also helped with pollution problems. It had a part called a catalytic converter that made the exhaust gases cleaner. Other big car companies were not focusing on this as much at the time. After the Civic, Honda launched the Accord. At first, it was a smaller car, but later Honda made bigger sedan versions. The Accord also used fuel well like the Civic, but it offered more space inside and was very comfortable. The Accord became another huge success and one of the best-selling sedans in history. By the early 1980s, Honda was the third largest car maker in Japan. By the end of that decade, it was the third biggest car company in the world. Soichiro Honda retired from his company in 1973. He died on August 5, 1991. He once said that he felt he made many mistakes in his work, but he was also proud of what he achieved. He learned from his mistakes and did not repeat them. Today, the Honda company does more than just make cars and motorcycles. It has expanded into other areas like making jets, boat engines, power equipment, and even robots.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.